like I said, was single, but my ex and I had moved into a place together, and like 3 months later, we broke up. So at this point, we have learned to coexist with one another. We are in separate rooms, but I lived with my ex.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Unrestricted Podcast. Because here with us,
anything goes.
And if you don't believe in fate, I mean, I feel like that was the right way to start this. If you don't believe in fate, you're definitely gonna want to listen to this story, because I think from it's not even like from day one of meeting each other. It's crazy the amount of things that had to line up pretty much for this to happen. And what is this, you guys are asking? It's the story of how we met. And it's really, like I said, it's one of the most interesting things. I feel like it's good for you to start, because that's realistically kind of where it started.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how did you, not really meet me, but how did you come across me, I guess?
So, well, it was actually 2020, so everything, COVID had just hit, and so what I was doing before, like our offices shut down, so we had to work from home, all that wasn't really working out too well, just kind of trying to find like another job to keep me busy, because I was just getting bored being at home. And then a friend of mine was like, hey, you'd be really good at selling cars. You should apply to go sell cars. And I was like, okay, whatever, So did that, had an interview. I had an interview at one store in particular, sat with this guy, the manager of that store. Then I don't know how it happened. I don't know if like all the stores owned by this one guy, like they all know who's applying. But anyway, the store that was like across the way a little bit, that manager comes over to where I'm at to interview me. And he's basically telling me like, oh, you're a Navy vet. Well, that's cool. We have an Army vet over on our side. You guys would hit it off. And I'm just like, okay, well, that's fucking weird. Like, I'm just trying to get a job. Am I hired? Or like, what is this? Are you trying to set me up? Like, I'm confused.
It was some real hitch shit.
I feel like they were telling on your side too. They were saying,
yeah, because I was getting a play-by-play, like he was about to go to this interview, and we were walking on the lot. I think it's like when I started my shift, like he came in the same time I did, and we were walking on the lot, and he was like, oh, like, just like plotting basically, like, man, you're not gonna believe it, you're not gonna believe it. And I was like, what, like what's going on? He's like, oh, I got this this girl's interviewing today, and she's a Navy veteran, and like I'm gonna try to pull her to this store because she's realistically interviewing for another store, but I'm gonna pull her to this one because I think you guys will hit it off. And I had really no clue why like it was such a big deal for him to like try to set.
It was really weird, honestly. Yeah, I've never been in a place like that.
I don't know
where they
if,
like encourage workplace relations.
Yeah, like I don't know if was I given, like I don't know, for the short period of time that he knew me, was he getting the vibe like
he's like he needs some.
Yeah, like I needed like companionship or something, like, because I don't know, maybe he, at the time I was like still like, I mean, we'll get into the story a little bit more, but I was obviously still like just staying at my mom, so maybe he thought like, oh yeah, this dude's like, he needs this, like he needs this to lighten up his life or something. I don't know. I wasn't depressed, but yeah, so I was getting a play-by-play, so he goes.
Anyways, it was weird. So anyways, yeah, like finish up the interview. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna need you to drug test all this stuff. And so, of course, I was working at another place prior to that, so I was like, well, I'm gonna do right by them and give them a 2 weeks notice. And then that was all that good and fine. And then so before I start though, I have to come in and like fill out this paperwork to get started. So he asked me to be there at a whatever time, and so I go in there, and like it was just weird as fuck, because already you and the other guy were just like immediately right there in my face.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, like I'm here to see so and so, I have to fill out paperwork. And you're like, oh, so so you're the new girl or whatever. And I was like, oh, are you the Army vet?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, okay, I'm like, I just already feel weird because I'm just like, I don't know why they were telling me about this guy. You know what I mean? So I was just like, whatever.
I mean,
so
we know why. But
so I get this packet of paperwork, and the manager's like, oh, why don't you sit at Skylar's desk? That way he can help you fill out this paperwork, as if I'm like so incompetent I can't do it. So I'm like, all right, whatever.
And again, I was already briefed before she even came. Like, I'm going to get her to sit at your desk. And, like, basically he understand that it wasn't necessary for her to sit there.
Like, this isn't a Disney movie. Like, we're not just going to be immediately like, let's go, let's get married.
But yeah.
It was so weird. But then so I'm filling out the paperwork, and then you're chilling there, you're speaking, with me, we're having a conversation, and it was chill. Like, we just had like a normal conversation. It was cool as I'm filling out the paperwork. And then just random, you're like, I think you've hit me up before.
Yeah.
And I was immediately offended. I was like, I would never hit you up.
Yeah. I mean,
because I'm like, okay, you are not my type. I'm like, I would not hit you up.
Yeah.
And when I say my type, I mean like,
just be straight. Just be straight. Like,
I prefer Hispanics, not white people.
I was I was a bald white. And to my credit that I said this, I said this not based on her looks, but based on her name. So obviously, like...
Yes, that's true. You said my name looked familiar to you, and that I've hit you up. And I was like, that has to be false, because I would never hit you up.
Yeah.
And then so
I was already I was already 0 for 1. I was already 0 for 1. Like...
Well, anyways, I was like, okay, let me just see, because prior to all this, the whole year before, I had been working with this other company, and we had to basically like prospect people and send messages. And so I was like, okay, could there be like a wild chance out there that like I did hit this guy up? So I was like, let me just check right now. So I went on my Facebook, and I'm looking through past messages, and I'm like, wait, like what's your last name? So I look him up. Sure enough, I fucking did hit this guy up. Was it December of 2019?
Yep.
So keep in mind, this is already like October 2020 when I'm filling out paperwork for this dealership to work there. So December 2019, I had prospected him about a message, and we were messaging. We had him set for an appointment. He was supposed to come in, and I was like, and he's like, yeah, but you deleted me. You unfriended me. And I look at the messages, and I'm like, okay, well, you blew me off. I was like, you had an appointment set, and then you ghosted me. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna unfriend you. Like, fuck out of here. You know?
I mean, you guys have like been there, like...
If anyone has gotten a message from me, I apologize.
Yeah,
like, I'm not in that business anymore.
Yes, I had got this message, and I was like expressing, like my interest to like the people around me. And people were like, oh, like what kind of business is it? And, they told me, and basically like, if you guys know, like the first word out of everyone's mouth, like is going to be like scam, or it's a pyramid scheme, or all this, like don't do it, like, so I was getting that vibe from people around me, or just like, I don't know, look more into it. And I just didn't want to look more into it. So I was like,
But who knows?
Like,
you could have met me then, and we could have been...
Yeah, and that... But that's, that's how this, like, at the end, you'll see that's why this story is so crazy, is that, that reason that, yeah, maybe at that point, if I would have stuck with it, and I would have been spending time with her on the daily anyways, but we don't know, we don't know if we would have hit it off, or how her lifestyle was at that point, how mine was, we don't know. But
that's true. I think that's crazy too, is like I feel things happen for a reason. And I don't know, like, at that point in my life, I was just like coming like fresh, like, I don't know.
I mean,
I just think I was in a completely different mindset during that time. Like, I don't know, things were really weird. Like, I was in a relationship at that time, but it was kind of going in like a downward spiral.
Yeah.
It's like...
I was still on my whole tip from I don't know if it's last episode or I think it was
Yeah.
last episode where I was like, my divorce still had me in the mode like I'm not even going there with
Yeah.
the girl for the rest of my life. So it didn't bother me. Like I didn't think I was like somehow missing an opportunity there. I was just like, yeah, I don't want to
Yeah.
do some crazy job like
I mean, it was whatever though. Like we were just sitting there talking normal. Like we kind of like had a laugh about that I had reached out to you and literally did message you about some stuff, and it was crazy. It was all business related. I mean, there was nothing involved with that, but I just thought that was so wild. Like, what are the odds that almost a year later, actually met the person that, I was supposed to interview myself. I was supposed to set up an interview with him. And so I just thought it was pretty crazy. So we just like kept talking, and I finished my paperwork. I actually had to go to work that evening at the job I was at before. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go because I have to like get ready and all this. And so this dude, I was like, oh, you can add me back on Facebook if you want or whatever.
I mean,
and this freaking guy,
that's an open door, right?
Just because I'm like, we're going to work together, so I don't want it to be weird. Calm down. Because I was like, no, I was like, ew on you.
I can't wait till you guys hear the line I hit her with, though. This was the showstopper.
No, it was literally, okay, showstopper as in it was going to stop me from even being your friend.
Yeah, that's exactly what it did.
Anyways, I'm at work, and then I get a message, and he's just like, oh, I wish I could pull it. I should pull it up.
Maybe
It
like,
was like, oh,
for the
you
episode
should.
we'll do a screenshot so you guys can see how slick, like, and I might then don't go take it, like, don't go taking this because it's not gonna work.
Insert screenshot here.
Yeah, we'll insert it, but don't use it because it's not gonna work unless you're
Oh my
at a desk
gosh.
job and this whole thing's been set up and all this. So don't use it. You might look totally creepy, but
It was so creepy. You literally turned me off so bad. Like, okay, I honestly, it doesn't matter whether I'm single or in a relationship, I do not like when men come at me aggressively or like try to hit on me very openly. I'm not the type. I don't like it. If you are attracted to me and if you want to get to know me in that sense, like say I'm single, like it starts with a conversation. Like, I do not like being hit on aggressively. And this was like, oh, you should come back and sit at my desk with me and keep me company. And I'm just like, ew, goodbye. I'm no longer speaking to you anymore.
damn. Well, what happened, guys? I mean, what happened after this? I wonder.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, at this point, it had probably been, the 2 full weeks. And like, I stopped messaging you because I was like, that is so gross to me. Like, I'm not into that.
Yeah. Was it me or you that stopped?
No, I definitely
That was
stopped
you?
messaging you. And the only reason you messaged me back is because you were like, oh, what's the schedule? And we had like a calendar that they would put all of our names on for the schedule. And it was like, well, and we were on opposite schedules. We only worked together some of the days, but we had opposite days off.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I went into work my first day, whatever, and I'm just like, oh my God, like this is gonna be so weird because this guy was like so forward with me, and I just don't like that.
Like, it wasn't weird. It was just like that. I knew I had kind of like set the wrong tone.
Yeah.
So I remember I was putting the keys out, and you had pulled up, and we're walking up to the dealership, and I was just like. I like gave you the greeting or whatever.
Yeah.
But at
I mean, I'm not gonna make you feel weird or awkward. I'm like, it's a workplace.
Yeah, but I was already like, dang, like how is this really gonna go? Because I don't know. I'm new to this place still, relatively new.
Yeah, I think you had only been there like maybe a month or
Yeah,
month
like
and a half
2
before
months.
me.
Yeah, a month and a half, 2 months or something. So I'm still new. So I'm like, I don't want this job to like be the worst experience ever because I was, I was being slick.
creepy.
I was being, slick.
Yeah, but I mean, anyway, so like we start working together, and it's cool. Like, I'm not gonna make anyone feel bad or feel awkward, because I personally don't like to feel that way, and I don't like it when people make me feel that way. So I do my best to not make somebody feel like that, And I don't really know like how it happened. I don't know if we had a conversation or if I was straight up just like, if you want to get to know me, you need to have a conversation with me. You need to be my friend.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like,
I don't remember how it kind of jumped into that, but you really did scale back though, because I remember having that conversation with you. Like, if you because I think you, at that point, Kat was already out the bag. Like, you were like, I'm into you, you know? And I was just like, look, like, and I'm single now, you know,
Not
2020.
right
like,
now. Don't
no.
start. Like, I already know. People are like, what? Like,
Anyway, so at this point, like, I'm already single, so it doesn't matter, you know, and I just told him, like, okay, that's cool, but at the same time, like, you need to get to know me as a person. Like, I'm not the type to just, like, be all about that shit. Like, I don't like it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, we're at work, we're spending 6-7 hours with each other every single day on the lot, and it's like, when you're not selling cars actively, like, you're out there on the lot, you know, you're trying to get a customer to come by, you know, you have a lot of standing time. And then in 2020, not a lot of people were buying cars either, so
yeah. And it was a small dealership.
it was a
as
smaller
it is, so
dealership,
it's
yeah.
not-
So it's like, we had a lot of downtime, so we really got to know each other a lot, and I think that we just connected so well, and I think that's when things started to change for me. I was still like, I'm not attracted to you, but I'm very big on personality. I've always dated off personality. It's always been my thing, just because I'm like, looks come and go, but you know, if I can just truly, like, connect with you on every single level, I mean, to me, that's super attractive. You know, I love that. And so I just thought it was really cool. Like, we were able to just talk about anything and everything. We had the craziest conversations, you know, and your humor just really got to me in the beginning. And I think that's what kind of just started softening me,
Yeah.
is that I love to laugh. It's my favorite thing to do. And you're a funny motherfucker.
Well, I
so.
told her, I told her, you know, like, that's, you know, that's realistically all I really got going for me. You know, like, that's, you know, like, that's literally all I have. I'm like super funny. I don't take anything like really overly serious. So like, even when shit gets like as stupid as it does at work, and like you could be all pissed off and negative, like I could, you know, with her at least, I could turn everything into a joke, every situation. And like, that's why working there became like, went from being like, why the fuck did I get out of the army for this shit? Like, this shit job when I first started. And then like, once she started and like we started hitting it off more, like obviously just on a communication side, not like, oh, I'm into you because you're attractive, then like that's when that job just became like the best job ever, because we were just everywhere we just found some shit to make fun of.
Yeah,
or like,
it was funny, but it was
like,
strictly just work though. Like,
yeah,
I was not texting you. I was just like in my own thing. Like, you know, I didn't want to go there, because to me, I was just, I mean, and I'll be honest, like, even though I was single, like, I did have something going on with another person at the time, and you were fully aware of it, because I've always been very open and transparent.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we weren't like a thing, you know, this person lived 3 hours away or whatever, so we just saw each other every now and then. But I mean, I was also trying to be like good, I guess, in that sense, just keeping myself attached to only one person.
Yeah, we're not horrible people where we're, you know, like I didn't expect that, you know, once I found that out, I didn't expect like, oh, like play both sides, you know, like however you are with that person, be like that with me, because like
You wanted that though.
I didn't more so want you to play both sides. I just wanted you to see that the other situation was
not good. It was not good.
Yeah, it was not good, and it didn't make sense. Like,
yeah,
to me, you were kind of like, you were pumping it up just to like convince me that it made sense, but nowhere in my mind.
Well, I was probably trying to convince myself.
Well, yeah, more so trying to convince yourself that.
Because, like, I knew, like, in the back of my mind, I knew that that was a very toxic, just not a good situation, you know? And it's just, the fact that it carried on for as long as it did, and it was still just, like, we're not a thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, it's like, there was red flag written all over that shit. And for whatever reason, I just failed to see it. And I don't know what it was, is whatever I was dealing with, you know, at the time. And I was trying to honestly convince myself that it was a smart move. And I think I was just like denying you.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like when we started to get to know each other a little bit more, you know, like obviously your feelings grew stronger for me. And you voiced those opinions to me and stuff like that. Like, I was fully aware of how you felt, and it honestly, I would just try to talk myself out of it. So at the time, like I said, was single, but my ex and I had moved into a place together, and like 3 months later, we broke up. So at this point, we have learned to coexist with one another. We are in separate rooms, but I lived with my ex. So it was a very weird and awkward situation, but we made it work, for the sake of just being able to just like have, I don't know, like some type of normalcy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we found a way to make it work, and it did, because when you're locked into a lease, and California is motherfucking expensive, so whatever. But I would try to convince myself by telling other people, and I would have talks with my roommate at the time, and I would say like, I do not like Skylar. He's not my type. I don't like anything about him. But then I'd be like, but he has really pretty eyes. I love his eyes. And like, but no, I don't like him. Like, he's this or he's that. And then I'd be like, but I really like his voice. I could really listen to him all day. He has a nice voice. And then my roommate's like, I like Skylar. He's a nice guy, You like, I had made him sound like so gross and horrible.
Yeah. Well,
when he met you, he was like, what the fuck? Like, Jocelyn, what's wrong with you?
That's why this situation is like, in order to get to where we are today, like, we won't go into detail because we do plan to speak about other shit in the future, but to get where we are today, this was like a very complex situation,
Yeah.
Like, as you guys are hearing, it's crazy, but
I mean, I definitely had in my own self, like, I feel like I'm a very complex person, but I just had complex situations all around me. I feel like I just put myself in situations that did not make any sense. They were not good for me or anybody else.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm over here trying to convince myself that you are not for me because you are not my type physically wise. You know what I mean? So, but it's like to me, because I'm like, I'm not attracted to white people. I'm attracted to Hispanic people. But then after I got to know you, I'm like, Skylar is not white. Your entire mentality is so very Hispanic. Like, just how you carry yourself, the way that you speak about things, the music that you listen to, just everything that you are. I mean, like,
everyone watching this is like, it's like, I guarantee everyone watching this is like,
Stop.
If they know me, they're like, they're either nodding their head the whole time that you're talking right now, or they're just like, like just calling me things that I've been called, like just certain names, even like, your parents, they call me Miklo.
Oh, Miklo,
like,
if you've seen.
They call me Miklo.
Blood in, blood out,
like,
yep.
Growing up, like, say it was like, if I was hanging out with some like, black dudes, like, they wouldn't say like I was black, obviously, because I'm not, but they would be like, Skylar just saying white.
Yeah.
Like, we don't know what
You're not.
We don't know what he is. We're not gonna go as far as saying like he's one of us or he's a Mexican, but he's just not white.
He's not white,
like,
no.
And like, if you knew me growing up, I never ever had like just a serious friendship or anything with someone that was just straight up like, honor classes, white.
I mean, you would do graffiti growing up, so you hung out with a lot of the guys that would do all that kind of stuff and just into different things. So I mean, I think that's ultimately, aside from your personality, which I obviously was super attracted to, and your intelligence, like, we were able to just have all these conversations about anything and everything, and I felt super comfortable with you. And a big thing that also, it honestly scared me, is like, okay, I know everybody has trust issues. My trust issues go above and beyond what they probably should. I can go as far to say is I've never really trusted anybody. Every time I have, I've been bit in the ass by it or fucked over. People who have been super close to me have fucked me over bad, and it's like, I choose to forgive, but I just don't forget. So for me to trust someone, it takes everything in me to just give that trust to you. It's something that's so sacred to me.
Yeah.
And what scared me was that I trusted you so quickly, you know, we weren't even a couple. We were just friends at that point, you know, like that was it. We don't even hang out outside of work. Like, but there was just something about you that I was able to just trust you like so sincerely.
Yeah.
You know, and that kind of freaked me out because I was like, this is different. This is something I'm not used to. And I did everything in my power to kind of push you away.
Yeah.
You know, like I was just trying to convince myself that the other situation was what I needed, where I was supposed to be when it was all sorts of wrong. You were doing everything you could to just like kind of put that in my face and show me. And I was still just like, whatever, Skylar, like, shut the fuck up. You know,
Yeah.
you don't know shit.
Well, I mean, yeah, like, and that's the case. I mean, if I flipped the roles and like you were trying to tell me like not even just not to benefit yourself, but literally just to say like I like you as a person too, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So whether or not you ever want to like be with me, just get out of that situation
Yeah.
because that situation doesn't make no sense. And I'm sure you've been there with someone where you're just like, maybe we'll never be a thing, but I'm still looking out for you.
Yeah.
Like, get out of that situation like as fast as possible.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell her. I'd be like, I don't even care if you want to be with me after getting out of that situation, but just get out of it because you're doing yourself a disservice. Like, you're
Yeah.
wasting your time. Like, and
we would get into like actual fights about it and stuff. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
because it's like nobody wants to hear that they're wrong or what they're doing isn't right. You know, it doesn't make sense. A lot of times you're so blinded by whatever you're doing or whoever you're with, you know, like we all have blinders on sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier for someone else looking in to say like, hey, you're being a fucking idiot. You know,
Yeah.
like you need to fix yourself. But it's like, we don't ever want to be wrong. We don't want to think that, you know, we are doing a disservice to ourselves. But I mean, I was lucky enough to have you as simply just a friend at that point that you were truly looking out because I feel like nobody was really doing that. I mean, some people might be like, that's not a good idea, but they didn't go to the extremes that you had gone to,
Yeah.
you know? And so it was finally like I had started coming to the realization, you know, this person and I were still talking at the time, but it was kind of just like in the downward spiral. Like it was going nowhere fast.
Yeah.
And, you know, at this point, like, I think we hung out, what was it, twice outside of work now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At that point, yeah.
Because, like,
probably
you had
twice.
come over here, we all hung out. It was like me, you, my roommate, and then one of my friends. Like, we came and hang out, and that was a lot of fun. Oh, no, it was another time because, like, Rigo came over too. We had like a little thing here. Wasn't
Yeah.
that? Or was that the one time?
That was the one time, yeah.
Oh, okay. So there was that, and then, you know, I spent New Year's with you.
Yeah.
New
And
Year's
then, well, did you go to my mom's house first before I ever came over here? I feel like you went over there at least once before I ever came over
No,
here.
I think you came here. But honestly, I do remember you asking me to go to dinner with you and your mom, and I was fucking terrified.
Yeah.
I was so fucking terrified because I'm like, your mom's amazing. You know, I love her. She's like a whole character, you know. But when you would tell me stories about her, I was just like, holy fuck, like, if she doesn't like me, like, she's gonna motherfucking tell me.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna feel really awkward. Like, this is gonna be bad.
Yeah, but I didn't want to, like,
I was like, do not tell her we're friends.
Yeah.
We are coworkers.
But I didn't want to sugarcoat that shit because, like, my mom, I was just told her straight up, my mom has no filter.
Yeah.
Like, I was married before this, and, like, she didn't have a filter. Like,
Yeah.
if she didn't like that person, like, she let that person know, and then she's let, you know, my other siblings, their other halves and their situations growing up, like, let them straight up know, like, I don't like you, you're not good, like,
Yeah.
whatever. So I was being straight up, like, hey, my mom, like, she's super cool and super hilarious, but she's real as shit.
Yeah.
So
She does not fuck around.
yeah.
And so I'm just like, great. Like, I'm fucking nervous as all hell. So
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, we go. And, you know, we ended up having such a good time. Like, your mom was the biggest sweetheart, you know, like, she was just so cool and down to earth. Like, we hit it off really well too, you know, and I think that just put me more at ease, like, knowing that you have such a cool ass mom, you know, because
Yeah.
it's like my family's not out here. So that's the closest family I have,
Yeah.
you know, so it's just cool knowing that, like, your mom is so special, like that I feel so comfortable with her.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's super cool. Because you don't always find that. Sometimes people are like, my fucking parents hate my significant other, you know, and that's super sad.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, it goes to show, like, up to this point, the importance of becoming someone's friend. Obviously, at the start, I came off like way too strong for your liking. Maybe, you know, in other situations it works, but for your liking, coming in strong and just like, you know, trying to use lines and all this, like, it didn't work.
Yeah.
But switching it and just communicating, getting to know someone, being their friend, because it always sounds like super stupid, you know, like, oh, like, I want you to be my friend or my best friend before we take that step. And everyone's always like, you know, like, yeah, I get it, but fuck that, you know, like, let's just do the damn thing. And like, that was my mentality first, but then switching that mentality goes to show, like, why everything worked, you know, why.
I think it was different too, just because we worked together.
Yeah.
So because that was the first time I've ever just like tried to make a friendship out of whoever I was dating or with at the time. You know,
Yeah.
I had never just done that, and so nothing worked out before. So I wanted to try something different too. So I was just like, well, we work together. What's the fucking rush? You know what I mean? I'm gonna see your ass every day anyway.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like
that's true. Yeah. And that's why I say, like, this whole thing is like, because you weren't local to that job, you know, so coming across that job wasn't just like, oh, you're local, like, and this job is available, you took it. Like, you were going out of your way for this job every day, but you happened to land there, you happened to freaking try to recruit me, and all this other stuff happened. So that's why I'm saying the story is so crazy and complex, but it is a true story of literal fate. Like, and maybe a lot of people don't experience that ever in life. So that's why it was so crazy, because I'm like, well, something had happened in my life to where I stayed here, to why I wanted to get this job. Something happened in your life that drove you to this job. And now, like, here we are, someone that's not your type, someone that in me that came on too strong. We both had to alter our way of doing things.
Yeah.
And then boom, like, it's just everything mixed into one, and all the changes and all the, you know, ups and downs going on in our individual lives brought us together. And like, we just figured that we were just so alike.
Yeah.
Like, our personalities, our likes, our interests, our dislikes.
Yeah, we definitely
like,
love and hate the same shit.
Yeah.
I mean, we do have our disagreements because there are things that we just each feel strongly about, and we have no problem letting each other know, like, that's fucking stupid. Like, here's why. You know what?
Yeah.
And that's what's cool is because, like, we're able to just, like, kind of have those conversations. But I think what's also crazy is the fact that we almost left this part out because I had said that I lived with my ex.
Yeah.
And it was still a whole year that had to go. So my ex didn't move out until like June of 2021.
Yeah.
So we actually made our relationship official that March.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you fucking made the choice of moving in with me and my ex.
Well, yeah, but it was like, at that point, it was inevitable, you know? Like, we were in that phase where obviously, yeah, we spent a lot of time at work with each other already, but we were already like, you know, like, oh, do you want to come have dinner again? Or, oh, like, do you want to come, you know, come to my place after
So
work?
it didn't make you
Like,
feel any type of way that I still lived with that person?
no, it, like, definitely did. I mean, this was like, and for me, I don't know if it's rare, you know, if you guys have ever done it or something like that, I mean, let me know. But for me, it was rare. Something I never thought, like, I would even be cool with.
Yeah.
You know, because yes, obviously I knew beforehand that she did, and that she was, you know, talking to someone else already and stuff like this. So, but to me, I'm like, well, I already worked. I wanted this so bad. I overcame all that mental shit, like telling myself, just get over it. Just continue being yourself and it'll work out. So, like, yeah, I had to get over that hurdle of, like, physically being here with that person. And, you know, obviously, like, there was a connection before. So, like, you're already going to be in your head, like, fuck, you know, like, is there like still something going on? I mean, you know, like we just talked about this yesterday.
Yeah.
About how people just get tied up on their exes and shit. Like maybe one person, the other person can't stand them, but so I didn't know. I was like, shit, like, you know, is there still something here? Am I coming into a situation that's always gonna be awkward? And it got like that to a point. It got like that to a point where I was over here all the time before I made that decision to move. That person was like that. They were like, you know, like why is he here again? You know, why is he always here? Like I want time to just do my thing in my place, you know, like so. And that was something to get over. But that's ultimately, you know, where I was like, well, I've already went over all these other shit that I never thought I would do or never thought I'd be able to get through. So I'm like, fuck it, like. I'm going to make this decision to start paying to live here.
I think the funny thing was, though, is like that person was like, you know, he's spending too much time here. But, you know, he was the same one to be like, hey, why doesn't Skylar move in? I was like, the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, so it was crazy because it went from like, he's here too much to here, get him a key. And I was like, wait, you want my boyfriend to move in?
Yeah. So, yeah, it was weird, and a lot of things I didn't expect like that, or, you know, like for it to not really be that weird once I did move in.
Yeah, but I mean, at least it was only 3 months at that point.
Yeah.
It's not like you were here the whole time for the year that him and I lived together, a year and a half actually that we lived together in that place.
Yeah.
So.
But that just shows you that, like, honestly, like, for one, on her side, like, I feel like I always felt like that's how girls should be. Even if I didn't believe that myself, I always felt like girls should make you work for, you know, them, their trust, their whatever, like, and
gotta have self-worth.
Yeah, regardless
gotta make these fools work for you.
Yeah, like, regardless if you know, obviously her case, the reason why it took, you know, more work and took longer was because obviously she already had, you know, prearranged things going on, so that's why it took longer. But it made our relationship stronger once it happened. So that's like something to take from this, is that make the person work, whether it's you know, or
get to know them. Like, don't be scared to get to know them.
Yeah, make each other work, because it only helps you in the long run. Like, learn the shit that pisses you off, or learn the shit that you don't like. Don't just be like, oh, I like this, I like this, I like that, I want to continue to find things I like. No, because plenty of times we were like, even at work or right after work, like if I left,
we went days with like not speaking to each other before we became a couple, because like we were just so fed up with each other's shit.
Yeah, we would go days and days and days of like nonstop talking, nonstop joking, nonstop walking around the lot together, and then we would go 2-3 days of non-talking,
because like either I would piss you off or you would piss me off or something,
or the situation was just getting to me, which
that too,
like, which it did a lot. I would, like, on my own personal time, I would be in my own head a lot, like, what, like, I really like this person, but what am I doing? Like,
you felt like you were definitely wasting your time, because I was just like not like really being, you know.
Well, because there was times where, like, obviously you had something going on, and we hadn't committed to anything. We basically understood that this is a friendship and that's what it is. So, like, when you were, like, going to do your other things, like, you know, obviously, like, I couldn't expect that I was going to be in the picture, that you were going to, like, be texting me or talking to me during that time. So, like, I would go, like, just weekends or whatever, or a couple days, like, where nothing was wrong, but we wouldn't be communicating. So, like, that was another thing to overcome. We would have, like, a good ass week or whatever of we're just hitting it off, and then I would have to accept that it is what it is. You have to let her do her thing, and if you be accepting, then it's all gonna work out, you know. But I didn't bet, like, that wasn't my mood, like, right away. The first couple times of having to bite that bullet, I was just like, man, you're like, and I would tell her, like, I'm so fucking stupid. I would tell her that, like, I'm so fucking stupid. I'm wasting my time. Not like, I wouldn't say I'm wasting my time
But
with you or like on you.
I mean, you were saying that and you felt that way because I was just kind of like letting you feel this way about me, and I wasn't really being straight up with you, which
Yeah.
was bad on my part. You know, I should have been like, no, Skylar, like I'm talking to this person and I want this to work out. Like, stop fucking talking to me. But at the same time, I was like, I knew that situation was bad and I liked the attention that you were giving me because that's what I wanted from the other person, but I wasn't getting it.
Yeah.
So I should have just been straight up and not been like a little shit about it, you know? So
Yeah.
that was my bad.
But at the
But
same
that, I
time,
feel like that happens a lot. A lot of people do that, men and women, you know?
yeah, because it's a smart play on someone's part. You know, you have something going on, but you're not 100% about it. And you have something that you, on the other hand, that you really like and that has been going completely well. You're getting the attention, you're getting, you know, the food, you're getting, you know, like gifts or what, like just random things that like people do for each other when they're trying to, you know, obviously gain someone's attention and someone's all this. Like, you know, you don't gain someone's attention and keep it by, you know, by starting to slack.
Yeah.
And that's what I would tell you all the time. I would tell you that, like, once you get someone's attention, that's not the point in time where you just slow down. And you would tell me that you would experience that, or you agreed with that a lot of people, they just like take their foot off the gas.
Like, I already got you, I don't need to try anymore.
Yeah, and I would always tell her, like, well, that's not my mentality. Like, you might not be my girlfriend, but that's what I want as the end goal. So things that I enjoy doing for someone that is my girlfriend, that I'm taking very serious, like, these are the things I'm doing. So I'm going to do them regardless if you're my girlfriend or not, to show you and keep in your head that that's what is back here.
Yeah.
You know, right here in front of your face, the majority of, you know, your days, that's what's right here. And I feel like that's most important if you believe in something and you want it to work with someone, regardless of where it's at in the stages. You have to, like, you just have to give constant effort.
Don't stop dating your partner.
Yeah, like, you have to give constant effort, and that starts with being friends. That starts with fucking pissing each other off and all of this, getting to know the ins and outs. Like, and that's just, it's obvious now, but beforehand it was not obvious that was the way to go. And probably still, like, a lot of people probably don't believe that shit. A lot of people probably don't believe, you know, become friends or best friends and all this, you know, introduce hard situations or tough things to deal with, introduce those things to each other. You know, you introduced living with your ex and all this stuff. I introduced, like,
A child.
Yeah, I introduced a child. I introduced that I also had been married before. I introduced, like, hey, come have dinner with me and my mom. Like, and those are tough situations. Those are tough things. Like, some kids to some people are like a break. You know, as soon as you say, oh, I have a kid and an ex-wife, people automatically, like, peace, you know, like, fuck that. That's drama. That means you have a baby mom.
Kids were always like a pretty much no-go for me just because I don't have kids. So I'm just like, and I'm good with them. I don't want to be around them all the time. And that was my whole thought process. So when I found out you had a kid, I was like, fuck, you know, like, damn it. But then, you know, when I got to know her, like, we literally became little besties, you know. I mean, I've never met a kid like her before. And so we immediately just had this amazing bond and relationship from the start. So, I mean, it changed my whole perspective about being around kids, having kids, everything like that. So it's cool.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, everything, to have the perfect situation or the most perfect situation where it seems like fate, you have to have all that shit line up. We could have been perfect for each other, and then my kid not mesh, you know, and then that throws the biggest rock in the whole plan, because then you're just like, well, I mean, anytime that she comes around, like, there's going to be that awkwardness, and maybe she doesn't like me, I just don't get along with her, like, whatever, you know, like, that could have just ended it right there.
But I just feel like, it was definitely fate, because I did reach out to you a whole year prior to actually meeting you, and I mean, ended up changing, like, my whole perspective on a lot of things, like
white people. I'm just kidding.
But I mean, yeah, so we definitely we put each other through the works, you know what I mean? And I just feel like it set us up for success with our relationship.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly the most fate-based like story that like I'll never encounter anything on like a job opportunity, any other opportunity in my lifetime or any other occurrence. It'll never feel like this was truly meant to be. Like it's not gonna feel like dang, like I was put in this spot because I was not gonna stay in California. You know, I had plans to leave. You know, but I lost my stepdad and all this stuff. So that's the reason why I was in that job. I was in that position because I had made the decision to stay in California for at least a little bit longer. So that's where it all started. Like, unfortunately, yeah, someone had to pass away in order for me to make that decision. But making that decision is just had everything lined up in place. You know, from the time of you recruiting me, now I'm staying here, you're working here. Just out of all the people that could have applied, she applied and all this, and she made me work. She made me work something that I wasn't accustomed to, something that I just I didn't think I was gonna have to do. So true story of fate. Like, I don't know if anyone does have any similar stories of fate. Make sure you guys share it. Like every detail if you want. I don't care. We would like seriously love that.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's the story of how we met. And this is the Unrestricted Podcast because here with us,
Anything goes. Thanks for
Peace.
watching, guys.